Hi, I'm Brent with Theoretically Practical, and today we're going to be installing this YRM Metal Solutions battery box in my 1991 Land Rover Defender 90. This is for the right-hand drive version, so if you're watching this in the States and you have a left-hand drive version, I'd imagine all you'd have to do is mirror the film and it'd be perfect, right? That's how that works. So anyways, what you get with the kit is these pieces here. It's hard to see from there, so I'll bring you over. The thing to notice putting this together, because it kind of goes together a little bit oddly, I guess, is that the bottom tray, this part, is the top of the bottom of the battery box. So the sides slide under it, not over. So if you try to put the sides in on the top, they just don't fit, but they do fit perfectly underneath. And then, so this is the bottom piece, and then this side, I guess you'd call it, is the next piece, and then the other two, front and back, because we already used the word side, are gonna be over here. So the thing is, you might say, okay, this is great. You got access now, you can put these rivets in. The rivets come with the kit. I bought extras because, I don't know, it seemed like I should buy extras. It was an option and it wasn't very expensive. So, and every time I have to order from England, it costs $1 billion for shipping. So I order everything, including stuff I don't need and not including stuff I do need. But, so you'd say, oh, I'll rivet it in right now, pop it all together. Fantastic, we have great access. This will, I guarantee you, this will not fit in that vehicle in the space that it has with this riveted together. The old one, I had to cut into 3 pieces with a Sawzall. It was steel. I had to cut it into 3 pieces to get it out, and I still damaged some stuff a little bit. So let's go over and look at the install area, and we'll sort of talk about what the plan is, and we'll get going. I think this is going to be pretty quick and pretty easy. It looks like it fits. I've sort of test fit some of this to make sure that it's even worth starting. It seems to fit well. It looks good. It's definitely better than the original steel one, which I had about 50% left of mine, give or take. And considering that I had about a 45 or 50 pound battery in the box, you know, I feel better with some fresh material. Okay, so either my face is gonna be washed out or you can't see anything up here. So, you know, I know you're not here for this whole thing. So anyways, one other thing to think about beforehand is, so you haven't riveted together, because that would have, I'm pointing at the thing that you can't see. You can't even see my hand. Okay, so you haven't riveted the box together, which is down there where you can't see it. And the other thing you need to do beforehand is up here on the side of the frame, let's give you a little rotate, there are 3 bolts. I don't know how visible they are, but this one might, and this one might be removed. This one's removable, but this one for sure, if you haven't put that in place because you have your engine out, because, you know, when you do a battery box, typically one does take the engine out. But if you haven't put that in place before you put the battery box in, I imagine you'd be taking a hole saw and giving yourself an access port inside of your brand new battery box, which, you know, don't do it. So stick the bolt in beforehand. I know from taking it out that you can sneak a wrench up in there and bolt it on. Just slide them through the holes. I'd slide all 3 in just so you know they're all there. Problem solved, easy peasy. My bolts are not in fantastic shape, but they're also not, you know, compromised in a way that I feel like it makes sense to replace them, because if I replaced every slightly rusty bolt on this, well, it would look very silly because the rest of the vehicle would still be exactly the same as it is. So anyhow, so we're gonna go back and look at this area we got to work in up here. This is the space. This is the underside of the seat. So actually, Defender does a cool thing where the bottoms of the seat pop out and these top things slide out. So you can store things in there, I don't know. On the other side, it lets you look at the top of your fuel tank. Anyways, fantastic feature. And in the middle, where my cubby goes, or I should say where my cubby sits gently and is not attached to anything, you can open it up and look at the drive shaft or the road. You know, just It's, you know, Defender life. This piece here is the back of the box. So you can see this little cutout here is so that it fits over the frame. So, and actually in the case of this, it also has to fit over far back enough that it does fit right on the outrigger. It's a bit odd, I think. But I think it goes right around there. Oh, it's gonna bolt right in, just like a Honda, right? I'm thinking the next part you'd want to put in is the bottom. So I'm gonna slide that up in there and see if I can get that in place. And then try to sneak the front in, or maybe the side. I don't really know. It'll be interesting. Oh no. All right, that's gonna have to go there. I don't understand what's going on. Actually, what? The only reason I was doing it this high up is so you guys could see a little bit easier before I started. And since it was already there, I figured let's hop on that struggle bus and run. So, okay, we're gonna figure that out a little bit better. Get that a little lower. So I need to sneak this oh yeah, the whole thing over. In case you're wondering, I've never done this before, so yeah. But from looking at YouTube, neither is anybody else in North America, so we'll tough it out together. All right, come on. All right. That kind of popped in there. Sort of see that it's up where it's sort of supposed to be. That's gonna be riveted up to there. Whole thing's gonna move that way just a little bit, but all right. Now, this one. Sneak that up there. And this is why, for once, I did something smart. I got some small enough nuts and bolts that I can put it in place, bolt it together, gently and lightly for temporary sake, and it'll all come apart again, so it'll work. This needs to this needs to fit in there somehow in ways that I don't believe that science has fully come to grips with, but let's see what we can do. All right. Sort of. Yes, no, kind of. Actually, I think this is going pretty well. I mean, I hoped it would. Here, let me stand here so you can see my face. Nice. That's my moneymaker. I hope this would go well, but I figured it would either be easy or I'd be throwing away some aluminum scrap, but one way or the other, oh, it was gonna happen. This shot is for people who want to see what a Defender would look like as a lowrider. Vroom vroom. It's weird. Okay, so Defender's on the ground now. These holes here are where I removed the original rivets. There's also a line down the front of the battery box, but you can't see where my hand is, so it doesn't matter. So I got one set of screws and bolts in there. I'm gonna put, I got like 10 pairs of screws and bolts. I'm gonna do all the pan in place and bolt that together pretty well. Then we'll try to clamp it where we want it. And once we drill a hole and put a rivet in a few places, it should actually be pretty good. Unless it's not. So normally if this whole thing was just riveted in, I would say, you know, go for it, try to get it in place, and if you need to adjust it, you just drill out the rivets and re-rivet them. But because the flanges where the old rivets were not pre-drilled, probably almost positively because if they were pre-drilled, none of them would ever line up, because I'm sure this was a British guy with a hand drill that put all these holes in here. It just had to be, right? So not that there's anything wrong with that per se, don't get me wrong, but I think this whole thing works out really well if you just kind of take it slow, look at how things kind of can go together, and put a few clamps on it. I think that's the real ticket right here. So some of you might be looking at some of the tattered holes in this battery box going, you know, you can get the whole thing. It's not crazy expensive. Why not just replace it? And the thing is that if I went buying all new parts every time something was wrong, one, I'd be replacing 97% of this vehicle, and two, it would be as good as new, but I don't know if you guys have ever read the book Good Omens, but they talk about the car that Crawley drives in it, and at the end he gets it back. Oh, I've ruined it now. He gets it back as good as old, and that's what I want. I don't want this to look like it rolled off a showroom. I don't want this to look like, you know, like it should be at Pebble Beach or whatever. I want a truck that looks like it's tasted life and wants maybe a little more. So I don't mind bashing something back a little bit that was a little bit bent. It actually was pretty easy. I'd say if you're going to be tapping on this thin aluminum seat box, you know, tap once, measure twice. So that fits substantially better. So the next step, the way I see it is in every single one of these holes, I'm going to stick a rivet in. They're usually, if there's any sort of shear, they won't pop out. I'm not going to crimp them down yet, but it'll kind of keep in place. So I'm going to put a rivet in all the holes, and then I'll come sort of, I'll take it off the tripod, come down with the light a little bit better, kind of show you guys what I did and where I think it should line up, especially in the corners where there's something specific to line up with. And I'll show you why I completely ignored that hole there, because it just isn't going to do it for me, I don't think. Okay. So we're going to look down inside the box, and I'll point out the corners where I think it's most important. Down in the front corner here, right there, you can see that this is double layered. Okay, you can see the tip of my finger. And this is not. So, or actually I should say, one is triple layered and one is double layered. So you want that corner to be nice and tight. Same thing with this corner, you know, it all fits pretty well. The rest of it's pretty open as to where it can mount. So I ended up leaving about a 1/16, maybe an 1/8 inch gap. That's more like an 1/8. Overlay there. I wanted to push it back. The whole seat felt like it was being influenced by that, so I didn't want to warp the seat box too much. So I'm going to start by drilling and putting one rivet in there. I've got Rosie the Riveter here to help me out. I am going to wish that I had a pneumatic one. I already do, so it won't take long. So I know you were expecting to come back to see all the rivets done, but I did about half of them yesterday, and my forearm was pretty painful this morning, and I've had some tendonitis issues in the past, and so I went out and bought an air riveter because it seemed like the thing to do. I got the mid-range one at Harbor Freight because that's literally, if there's another store where you can go to and buy all the crap you can buy at Harbor Freight, you know, I don't believe you. Yeah, lubricate, oil, whatever. So I got this one. This is the middle bear, you know, the not too hot, the not too cold, just right. I went with this over the Chief because side by side, it's exactly the same part. Like about 70% of it was exactly the same. The only major difference I could see is the bottom on the Chief one was metal and not plastic, but this one has little spots to hold all the little rivet collars that go in the front of it, and the Chief brand one, as far as I could see, didn't have a way to hold them on the tool. So you just know that you might as well just throw them away. So that's why I went with this one versus the Chief. This is also $70 instead of $150, and yeah. And I don't know how often I'm going to use this, so. Ah, seems to work. Damn! Oh, yes. Let's just see that again. This time in slow, it's not gonna be slow-mo, I don't. All right, for the kids in back. All right, we're gonna go back in the Defender, and we are gonna finish what took me a wicked long time the other day. And we're doing like 5 minutes because we got the right tool for the right job. But man, that thing, hoo-wee. Alrighty, well, we're back in the Defender and back in the hole. And let's see if this was worth it. Wow, it's just not quite the right size. Oh yeah. Oh, this hose is gonna be a pain in my butt. Oh, right in the old eyeballs with the exhaust. Right there, that, whew. Well, at least now they're oiled and free of dust. Oh no. You know what, there's one hole left. I'm just gonna give it a little razzle-dazzle, and that didn't take out too much. Oh, one more. Okay. And she's done. That was so worth it. All right, there's the side. You can see, man, it is tight up to that frame, but everything aligns really quite well. I've definitely put in parts, well, never OEM because I'm too cheap, but I've definitely put in parts that aren't made from like third-party guys in a shed in England that did not fit as well as this. I'll stick you up there. I don't know, you can't really see it, but all right. We'll go around to the front, and again, it fits right in just as it's supposed to. I gotta say, it's good. And that right there is why you need to put the bolt in for that motor mount beforehand. So if nothing else, because it's not even in a place where you're not sneaking that around. Not for anything. So be warned. Well, that about wraps up this week of Theoretically Practical, or I should probably call it Theoretically Defender or Practically 90 at this point. But the battery box is in. I would say the idea of using a few small screws to put it together so that you can get it in place and kind of fiddle around with it, that worked out really well. I would definitely recommend that to anybody. To anybody thinking, hey, you know, wouldn't seam sealer have made some amount of sense on that? And the problem is that there is a hole that you can't see up against just above the frame, which basically means that if I put this into water up to the level of the frame, which is only, you know, which is a couple inches below the floorboards, which I will definitely do, I promise you that. I've done it before, I will do it again. It will get water in there. I don't want a sealed box full of water under my car. I'd like it to be able to leak merrily out here and there. And also, if I had put, trying to block the light, if I had put sealant on those, this would have just been a smeared up mess of poo. It would have been terrible. So, if you're young and dumb and full of something or other, you know, hey, go at it. If money's a factor, go at it with the old the manual riveter. It'll get you there. But if you can spare, they actually even had a $40 pneumatic riveter that I think would have done this fine. It was so cheap in the hands, I couldn't quite make it happen. But for $60, maybe wait for a coupon. That air riveter just made the difference. And if it lasts for 500 or 600 rivets, it's probably as long as I'll ever need it to. Though now I can rivet everything together. In any case, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Click notifications, because I spent years not knowing why I would subscribe to channels and never see their videos again, because apparently you got to subscribe twice. I don't know. To me, you subscribe to a magazine, it shows up at your house every month, week, whatever. You subscribe to a video channel, it shows up whenever there's a new episode. Not like, I don't know. I don't understand this. I'm just a grumpy old fart at this point. I'm over the hill at 36. In any case, have a great day. And, you know, we'll be back next week to do the New Hampshire oil undercoating on this. I'm considering trying to pressure wash this in the garage today. I think that has a good... Well, if I do it, I'll videotape it. You'll get to watch it, and at least someone will get a laugh out of it.